Awesome candidate experience is hugely important for us. We have about 22,000 people that will apply to us in the next 12 months. And that's 22,000 people that could have a positive or a negative experience of our brand. So not only the recruitment brand, but equally the commercial brand could be impacted by a poor candidate experience. We're unique in our marketplace at the moment insofar as if you're applying for an entry-level role with Woodie's, you're guaranteed that you will get not only be contacted, but you will get an interview and you'll get the opportunity to put your best self forward for that role. Hand in hand with that, every person that now applies to us for a store colleague role equally gets a personalized feedback report. And we can see from the thousands and thousands of comments that candidates give us that they find it innovative. It reflects our brand in a very good light. And equally, it gives them insight into the recruitment process that they're not getting with other companies. Key challenges for us. The first was managing the volume of applicants that were coming through the business and managing them in a consistent and fair approach. And equally, then we wanted to focus on diversity and inclusion. We'd spotted some trends with our historical recruitment approach. Our historical recruitment approach had been managed across the country locally by store managers. And what we had seen was a 3-year trend where we were hiring predominantly white males. So we've been focusing on diversity and inclusion for probably about 24 months now, and there's been a variety of different initiatives, policies, procedures, and training to get buy-in with the wider business. Traditionally, we would have had recruitment managed locally by store managers, and what we identified through data was a 3-year trend where we're hiring predominantly white males. We decided to centralize the recruitment approach, and to do that, we needed technology so that we didn't overwhelm the HR department. We also needed technology that would give us measurable results of how we're currently performing and how that will help us get to where we need to be in the future. What we've seen since we've introduced Predictive Hire is we've seen a 3-fold increase in the number of ethnic minorities that we're hiring, and we've equally hired 1.5 times more women than we would have done if we had remained with our existing approach. If we hadn't used Predictive Hire, we'd be in the position that we were 12 months ago, where recruitment was being managed locally. We had very limited data on it. And all that we knew was that we were hiring predominantly white males. Now we can see the makeup of our applicant pool, what the system is recommending, and what we ultimately hire when a human intervenes in the process. And the great thing is that actually each of those funnels are now aligned, whereas historically, whilst they don't have the data on it, if we assume that our candidate pools have not changed and all that has changed is the technology, then there would have been a greater disparity between applicants and candidates hired. We need to be reflective of the marketplace that we operate in. First of all, customers resonate with the brand when they see people that look, talk, and act like them. So it's important that we're reflective of modern Ireland and the demographics that make up the country. And by our own admission or by our own analysis, we haven't been that reflective of the general population. We've been reflective of a certain category within the population. So it's important to us that our customers resonate with our colleagues because our colleagues are the face of the brand. There's other benefits, and you can read the studies on it, and people are well versed in it, but we understand that highly diverse teams solve problems quicker, they fail faster, and they fail cheaper. Our business is going through a huge transitional phase, and having everybody looking, talking, acting, thinking the same is not going to deliver the results that we want for the business to be viable in the next 5 to 10 years. Lots of efficiencies have fallen into place since we've introduced predictive hire. So the biggest efficiency immediately is that we centralized the recruitment from 35 store managers locally handling it into the HR team. We did that without increasing the headcount of the HR team. So we integrated it into the existing FTE. That saved us the equivalent of about 2.5 store managers on a full-time basis looking at recruitment across our stores. So that's 2.5 full-time store managers' salaries that we've saved in terms of time efficiencies. From a central perspective, as I say, we haven't increased the headcount. My team are able to look at the top scoring candidates and they have comfort that what the system is recommending based on manager feedback that we've now gotten over the last 6 months. My recruiters are comfortable that they contact the top scoring candidate. And if that top scoring candidate passes our final validation checks, that they go straight to offer and that we don't worry about going through the rest of the people that are in that candidate pipeline. Time to hire, it is quite quick. The market is moving very fast. The best time to hire that I've seen recently was about 4 days from us having a recruitment need to us having a candidate that was job offered and accepted. From other HR people, other businesses that we interact with, either within our group or outside of our group, but about a challenge around applicant volumes. It's not translating into our business. Now, we have a strong employer brand and we're positioned well from an employer brand perspective. But equally, we're seeing candidates that are so hugely positive about this experience that you can only assume that they're spreading that word of mouth to other people and that that's helping encourage other people to apply. What we're starting to position as well is the fact that when you apply for a store colleague role in Woodie's, you will get an interview. You're guaranteed an interview regardless of your experience, your background, what you look like, what you sound like, who you love. You will get an interview and you will get an unbiased interview and you will get a full feedback report. So you will know where you can improve, what your weaknesses are. Interestingly, I noticed a comment recently from a candidate where they'd almost self-rejected on the basis of the feedback report. So the comment was along the lines of, if I don't get this job based on the feedback report that you sent me, I can totally understand why, and I know where I need to work in the future to get a job. So the candidates are loving it. You can only imagine they're telling their friends, look, I did a text-based interview with Woodie's, never seen the likes of this in the market before, got this report. And actually, do you know what? The first time somebody interacted me with from the company was when a recruiter called me within hours and offered me a job, and I'm starting there next week. I'd recommend Predictive Hire. Look, first of all, to any company that has high scale or high volume recruitment needs, the amount of applicants that we've gone through about 8,800 applicants have gone through first round interviews since March in our business. And if we were relying on a human recruiter, we would need a recruitment team that's probably 5 to 6 times the size of what we have, or we would need a time frame that's probably 4 to 5 times that period to get through those. So anyone with high volume recruitment, but equally anyone that wants to shift the dial on diversity. So we've introduced policies, we've introduced procedures, we've done training, we've gotten the buy-in from people in terms of the diversity agenda, but that didn't translate into a dial change until we introduced technology that removed human bias from the start of the process, that introduced data to the process. And I've had some conversations with my own team recently, and even with hiring managers where we've brought them into this process, where they've been inclined to go for a certain candidate. And before I've allowed it go to job offer, I've looked and said, hang on a second, guys, all of the data that we have is telling us that this is the best candidate for the role. They're available for it, they've applied for it, why are we not hiring them? And on reflection, that's driven people to go off, have a think. We've given them a few hours and they've come back and said, do you know what? The data combined with that diversity and inclusion and unconscious bias training is telling me that I actually had a bit of bias towards that candidate, and I'm now happy to go and hire them. And then we followed up with that hiring manager a couple of months later just to see how the candidate's getting on. And that candidate was their top performer, and they've never been happier with the candidate that we put in front of them.